someone who is on the board of trustees of the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Council, wrote an op-ed. His name is Martin Oliner. And the title of the op-ed that he wrote at the Jerusalem Post was "Let Donald Trump Make Gaza Great Again." And he says that he does not believe Gazans are worthy of any mercy. He says, let's not mince words here. The people of Gaza are collectively guilty for invading Israel, murdering, raping, and kidnapping Israelis and holding them hostage. And he believes that they are not worthy of any mercy. And this, again, is someone who is not only on the board of directors of the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Council, but also the son of a Holocaust survivor. So I wanted to know your response to this.
Look, there are many Jews that are reacting like this. Some people say you have to forgive them, you have to understand them. I don't forgive them, I don't understand them. I don't accept that this is at all Jewish. I think what happened in the last 80 years since the Holocaust is that Zionism has not only occupied Palestine, but it occupied the mind of Jews and others, but definitely the mind of most Jews. And those Jews have abandoned Judaism in favor of Zionism. Zionism is hostile to Judaism, is hostile to humanity. In 2,000 years of life in Europe, Jews have suffered a lot, but they have never been involved in genocide. They have never been involved in mass murders. Others murdered them, others genocided them, but they have never used terrible ways of treating other human beings. The Jewish religion and tradition and history and experience is an experience which is cosmopolitan, internationalist, humane, based on the best traditions of the prophets, and was the basis, together with Islam and Christianity, which have also claims on morality, was the basis of the UN Declaration of Human Rights. That declaration could never have been written in the way that it was if not for that experience of 2,000 years of Judaism I'm not saying everywhere, not in the Arab world. In the Arab world, they lived in peace and equality. But in Europe, the history of Jews is very painful. That somebody like that person, I don't want to say that Jew, because I don't give him the honor of being called a Jew. Someone like that, who speaks like a Nazi, who speaks hatefully about human beings that are killed in his name, I think that is the worst thing that can happen to Jews or to humans. And I don't consider them part of a community of humans, and definitely not a community of proper Jews. Proper Jews are the Neturei Karta that are walking 12 miles every Saturday to central London so they can partake in the movement against the genocide, and then they walk 12 miles back. These are proper Jews. Proper Jews are Jews like us who are supporting the Palestinians, because this is what our history and our historical experience and our culture and our religion are teaching us how to treat other human beings. Now, of course, in Judaism itself, there are some seeds of racism. For example, how the Goy should be treated, the non-Jew. I think this is the case in every single religion. The other is actually considered non-human. This is a weakness that Jewish monotheism is sharing with other monotheism. But the Jews themselves, for 2,000 years, would have been horrified by what this man is saying. And I'm horrified, and Stephen is horrified, and other tens of thousands of Jews in Britain who have now turned to support Palestine are horrified. And of course, in the United States, even more are horrified and have abandoned Zionism. So that's how I treat this kind of views of Judaism.
At the beginning of this person's statement, there is a sort of routine, exaggerated reference to October 7. And he trots out the sort of multiple rape, etc., accusations, which are vastly exaggerated. They haven't been able in subsequent investigations to find a single eyewitness.
Right. And some of eyewitnesses have recanted and have been debunked.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And of course, other invented horrors like the 40 beheaded babies, etc. Right. So there is that on the one side, in considering the excuse for all the horrors that they perpetrated. The numbers that are quoted as casualties or victims for that day are completely exaggerated because of the Hannibal directive's practical action. And I think more information came out in the last few days about that, of how many rounds they had been expending, etc. And I know that the first line fighters do not rape because it's not practical, quite simply. They are about survival and chasing down the enemy. It is the second and third wave of semi-drunkard, fairly safe troops that do the damage, which I did in Budapest as well. So that's another, just by the way, I instinctively feel the exaggeration there. There has never been an impartial, independent investigation of the true casualties of October the 7th. And if there was one, I'm pretty convinced that the numbers would come down dramatically. Yeah.
There is no justification for genocide. Right. Whoever does it, whenever and wherever. That's what he's justifying.
Right. And I do wonder if he ever spoke out against the actually documented rape cases committed by Israeli soldiers of Palestinian detainees that Israeli media doesn't deny, Israeli politicians don't deny. They actually defend it, like the famous case of the Knesset member saying it was legitimate to insert sticks into people's rectums.
All that is happening to human animals in their eyes, so that's okay.
Right.
The woman responsible for bringing rapists to justice on the 7th of October admitted that there is not a single woman that came forward and gave evidence, and not a single woman gave evidence of something that she saw. Not one that experienced and not one that saw came forward and gave evidence. So there is no evidence, and there never has been any, of either beheaded babies or rapes. And yet all leaders of the West are mouthing these lies day after day. The Holocaust Educational Trust that looks after this Holocaust Memorial Day refused to invite any of us, and our many organizations refused totally involvement of Jews who are not part of the Jewish organized society by Zionism. Now, what we have to ask ourselves is, how is it possible that after 80 years of commemorating genocide against Jews in Israel and abroad, the Israelis then, with help from people abroad, are then conducting a genocide? What was the point of 80 years of commemoration if at the end they actually practically committed genocide? What was the point of 80 years of Holocaust commemoration if at the end this is the result?